so again, talking about domain and range. We have two types. We have interval notation. We have set notation. So maybe I'm going to give you something like this so you can see the difference. Okay. Maybe I'm going to go from here. Work. That's right. And I'm going to go all the way to there. And I'm going to make that an open circle. We're just talking about a line segment. So we've controlled the domain and the range a little bit, right? We've put some parameters onto that. So if I talked about domain, again, I start to the small side. Is any of these x values ever going to be part of that? What's the first x value that's going to hit that? -4, right? Is -4 included? So my domain in interval notation, since it's included, I'll use this. It goes -4. And then what's the last x value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, correct? Is 9 included? There's an open circle there. Is that included? No, 9 is not included. That means every number leading up to 9, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.9, 8.99, 8.9999, 8.99, every number leading up to 9, but not 9. So you're still going to put 9, but you're going to use a parentheses there. That's interval notation. And just like my range in interval notation would be, okay, the start here, none of this is ever going to be, it's never going to hit the graph. This is the first one that hits the graph. That's at -2. I include -2. And I go all the way up to here, 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, it's not including 4, so it's a parenthesis. Does that make sense? Interval or set notation, I don't like them, but how would I write this? How do I write from 4 to 9? So my x values is anywhere from 4 to 9. So in set notation, you'd say all values of x such that I know that x is greater than or equal to a -4. Because -4 was on the graph, correct? But it's less than, it's not including 9. So this and this are exactly the same thing in two different forms. And then on that same note then, this would be all values of y such that my y is greater than or equal to a -2 because it's including the -2, but it's less than 4 because it's not including, that parentheses means it's not including the 4. And again, that's set notation. And you need to be able to know how to do both. Because early on a test or a quiz, I'm going to make you write them in both ways. Later on, we're just going to go to interval. Okay?
Wait, what's the green one? Like I used?
This is called set notation.
Okay.
These two are called interval notation. Okay?
What's the bottom one?
What's what?
The bottom one's also set?
Both of these are set. Both of these are interval. Interval just uses brackets and parentheses. Okay? Set uses inequalities. Okay? And again, when we're doing lines, obviously, if we're just graphing lines, any line, what's my domain and range going to be for those? all real numbers. It's going to go on forever. Isn't it going on forever? It's going this way and this way forever, and then the graph is still going up forever and down forever, right? So it's going to be, so I would not give you one where I ask you to write it in set notation when your domain or range is, when both of them are that. Because really, all the way you would write this is, just get used to writing that from negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, but what I can do something like this. I can say, and let's see if you can do this, graph y equals, I don't care, 2/3 x minus 5 on the domain of -3 to 6. And I'll go here. Graph that for me, and then give the domain and range. See if you can do that. So if I graph this, now I need some common sense here. Okay, so first of all, do I know that this is linear? Yes? Okay, so let's say I was going to do an XY table. Do I have to go from, this is telling me what to plug in for my x's. Do you understand that? Domain is your x's. So it's saying you're going to use every number from -3 to 6. And you're including both of them. Does that mean I need to go -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? In some graphs, like a parabola or something else, an x cubed, you might have to. You would have to. On a line, do you have to do that? Don't you really just, what do you need? You need the two endpoints, right? So I know the first number I have to plug into is -3. Because that's what my domain is saying. I'm starting at -3. So I'm starting here. And I'm going to 6. Okay? And so -3, if I plugged in a -3, 2/3 times a -3 is a -2, minus 5 is a -7. So -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's right here. Is that an open circle or a closed circle? Why is it closed? Because I'm including it right there, correct? That means include. Okay, now I can plug in all these. If you want to, more power to you. But since it's a straight line, I just care about where it ends, right? That's going to cover, if I have this point and I have this point, it's going to go through the rest of those points automatically because it's a straight line. So if I plugged in 6, 2/3 times 6, right, is what? What's 2/3 of 6? 4, subtract 5, -1. So I'm at a -1. So it's 6, I'm at a -1. Am I including it or not including it? Including, because it's a bracket. And so I have this line right here. I want you, well, let's just do this together. Let's talk about the range. There I gave you the domain, right? I gave you the domain. What's the range going to be in both ways? So this is the point -3, -7. This is the point 6, -1. So it starts on the y-axis, it starts here at -7. So interval notation is, yep, it's including -7. And where on the y-axis does it stop? -1. Am I including -1? So that's interval notation for the range. And then set notation would be my y-values is every single number between here and here, including fractions, right? It doesn't have to be just whole numbers. If I just wanted it to include whole numbers, I would have for y, I'd only put the ones that goes through where the graph goes through the whole numbers. That's all I would do. But this line means I'm hitting every single number between here and here on the y-axis. So that means that my range is, again, you have to make this, all values, its range, y, such that, here's what I know. I know y has got to be greater than a -7 but less than or equal to a negative 1, and then you make one of these again. Okay? I think Sweet, when she was in math, she couldn't make those in junior high. Because, I taught Sweet since she was knee-high to a grasshopper. Well, she was a big Jordan fan. So she would always make a 2. Because what was Jordan's number? And then she would start with this line and make a 3. And she'd kind of go and make a 3, and that's how she always made them. You can tease her because, I don't know if you knew this, but at one point in time, I don't want to publish. Here's what I want you to do. Well, let's do this. What if this would have been, well, let's do this one. What if that would have been an open circle? What would that have done? It would have made this a what? It would have made this a parenthesis. And then what would it have done for this right here?
It wouldn't be n equal to, just greater than.
So I would have had my -7, and then it would have just been that way, correct? And then that would have been my y. Okay, so does that make sense, set notation, interval notation? Mm-hmm. So I could give you things like that where I can control the domain. Okay. I don't know if I want to get into this or not. Maybe I'll just stop here for the day, but that just seems like too easy for you.
No, this is very difficult. I'm struggling.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some equations to graph, and you're going to do this like we did then. Then I'm going to give you a graph, and I want you to see if you can come up with the domain, a couple of them, and range, okay? So number 1, if I do y equals, I don't care, -3x plus 4, and I'm going to go from -5 to +4 there. I want you to graph it, and then still, this is the domain. I still want to know the range as well. So graph it and the range. Okay, number 2, let's go 3x plus 6y equals 18, and I'm going to go, the domain is from a negative 6/5 to a positive 8/3. I want to know the domain and range. Okay, then I'm going to give you this graph for number 3. Oops. We'll do number 3. I'm going to give you this. And let's say I gave you this. And let's say it came down through here and up to here. Actually, I'm going to make both of those open. You better make sure you write down the significant points because I'm not going to give them to you. And then number 4, we're going to make it a little harder because it's good for you. It puts hair on your chest. Let's go, and it's going to lead into part of tomorrow's lesson. Let's go here. We'll go open circle this way. Let's go close circle this way. You better write down significant points on that one as well. That was a hard one. Not hard, but it's more difficult because there's how to do it in interval notation is going to be something I haven't showed you yet. You will have to use something, this symbol, which means union on that one.
Not doing that.
Is this like assignment? Like we're supposed to go and like.
See if you can figure it out. Yeah.
On our own.
Yes, see if you can figure it out on your own.
You just gave us a whole. Yeah, you said.
I know.
I'll tell you this yet.
It's called union. He's not gonna tell you.
It's good for you.
You know what?
Put some hair on your chest.
Yep.